All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good wherever you are, everybody. This is Sean Carpenter calling from Government Deal Funding, Global Deal Funding, and the new and improved, soon-to-be Global Deal Network. It is a pleasure to be here this evening. I'm gonna be quite candid for a second as we do this. Just I know a lot of people always get upset at why you doing this live versus recorded. I know that most of the country right now is under the thumb of a big major snowstorm known as PAX, and I don't know why the hell they named these storms anymore. It's so well, it's just annoying. But that is no exception to here in Boston. We are getting pummeled with snow and rain and sleet and ice. And of course, my office out here on the water is cold, and so you may hear some on and off, in and out going on here. But luckily, I brought on somebody who's in a warmer climate tonight to talk about something that's very important. And the reason I bring him on, and the reason why this is one of the most important webinars I do every single year, and as many of you know, I don't do a lot of webinars. This is very important because it's a question that comes up all the time. Sean, my credit sucks. I apologize for the bad language, but quite honestly, that's the mood that I'm in. So, how can I fix my credit? My credit sucks. I can't buy this. I can't do this. I can't. Well, here you can, all right? So like I've done so many times before, and this is somebody who I count as a very good friend and somebody I talk to and I rely on and who has mentored me over the years. I want to welcome here on the line tonight Mr. Brian Douglas.
Good morning, Sean.
Good morning.
And it is morning here. You'll hear why it's morning here in a few minutes. But I feel your pain, sir, and it brings me back to some deja vu from 19. I'm going to date myself. I won't even bother giving the date. But way back, yeah, I will. The blizzard of '78. Remember the blizzard of '78? It was so bad in Boston. The city was shut down for days. I was doing swan dives off of the overpasses on Starro Drive. I was. Well, it was cool. It was really fun.
I'll be right honest with you. I was 2 years old at the time, but I do have a faint memory of it.
I have words for you. I have words for you.
Well, I'll tell you what. It is. It's pretty wild here, and actually, where we are, we're in Quincy, Massachusetts, which is just south of Boston, and I know you know this area, but it's raining. We're on the rain belt, and everything really north and west of here is getting pummeled with snow. Yeah. And my mother, as many of you know, my mother lives in Worcester, Mass, but she winters out on the West Coast. But I have a bunch of clients out there, and actually I've been invited to speak tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock to the AP Government class at Auburn High School. And I'm not sure that it's going to be open, but the highways are a mess. But here what's happened is we got so much snow 2 weeks ago that the water that's coming down now, that it's raining and it's high tide, so God. The water is accumulating in the roads. It's so, just to get out from my building to my car, I went to pick Lisa up at the train. It's so bad. I've actually got my shoes off and I have a heater on my feet to dry them out.
Oh God.
So, and of course, I don't know if many folks know here on the line, and I'll just say this because there's quite a few people here, and I haven't done a webinar. I want you to know this. I haven't done a webinar in probably a month and a half, 2 months. I've done some private webinars with some folks, and I have a new one coming out. Pretty exciting. I won't go into it tonight, but Lisa is with child, and so I had to make sure that she was driven home and not walking in this awful weather, so that she was safe, and that our baby boy will be here in May, and by the grace of God, and will not have to endure the snow for another 12 months. So, Brian, welcome to the call tonight, and it's an honor to have you on here. And I always look forward to everything you have to say, and as I take furious notes. And I am going to give a bonus out at the end. I might. You know what? I'm going to think about it. We
You're such a tease. So you want to get the show rolling? I want to give everybody good stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah. You know what? I should probably tell folks who you are. Let me just I assume that everybody who knows me knows you and all that. But as many of you are going to as many of you may know, Brian Douglas is what we would call the FICO insider. He's been in the banking industry for quite a number of years and knows exactly how they work, and he's got a lot of hidden secrets, including one thing you're going to understand in just a few minutes, some of the major hidden secrets that he has to reveal to you, including a major piece about him. But this is a guy on the inside. He's embedded in the credit industry. He's been trained by FICO, the company that directly influences the price you pay for credit cards, car loans, all that stuff. And even and now, although I could say that Congress is going to change this soon, maybe that. Right now, a company that could potentially hire you or that you work for could look at your credit score. Now, Congress is looking to change that, but right now you are run by FICO. So this is all about that. And a lot of people say, well, I just need to fix my credit, and that's a conversation starter, and that's the end of the conversation. What I've done is I brought somebody on here who's going to give you a lot of information about that. There's a lot of information out on the web. There's a lot of misinformation. And the credit industry, quite honestly, knows Brian by his real name, but obviously, giving all the truth here, we're hiding his true identity here. So you're going to get to meet him today, like Edward Snowden, under his whistleblower identity. And quite honestly, Brian, you're like Edward Snowden.
Oh God.
Yeah, Edward Snowden is what? He's in Russia. He's in Sochi at the Olympics right now, but you're in a much nicer place.
Yeah, I am. I'm in a much nicer place.
He was just telling me about the mosquitoes biting him on the leg. So great friend of mine. Folks, I'm going to turn this, Brian. You could take this away, and I'm going to stay on here as you do this. So I see Peter's been sending us messages, so I'll even reply to some messages and things here.
Oh, cool.
As we're going. So welcome on the line.
Well, thank you, Sean. So I'm so glad to be playing with you guys again. So you sort of took me off here for a minute. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a couple of questions here before we get started with today's program. First of all, how many of you that are ready to play? Now, understand that today is about an interactive program. For me, it is, what time is it here? It is now like 7 o'clock in the morning for me. I'm talking to you live from Bangkok, Thailand. And where, yes, I was down at the pool at 5 o'clock this morning, sat down to do some journaling, and yes, the mosquitoes were biting my ankles. So for those of you that are warming your feet, Sean, I was putting on hydrocortisone to stop the itch. And there's a reason why Thailand, which I'll share with you in a bit. I've not told the story before, and today I think Brian Douglas is actually going to go packing for real for a long time. So today, for those of you that know me, and I think it's actually showing on the webinar screen as to the speaker here. For those that you that know me, Brian Douglas is going. This is the last brand that Brian has been on, and I'll tell you a story in a little bit. But I want to get started with asking you guys a couple of questions. And that is, how many of you that are here right now, and there's a whole bunch of you here, and a lot of people are still coming in, I want to make sure that you play and you participate. So the question box is being monitored. I'm watching it throughout the entire presentation. Sean is as well. And I want to make this interactive so we can help you. So the big question I have for you right now is, how many of you guys have credit concerns? I'm not going to say credit problems. I'm not going to say credit issues, but have concerns about your credit. And it would seem obvious to me that of the many of you that are here, you're here because you have that reason. But I want you to play and tell me, okay? So I see that, and I won't mention names, even though by first names you're anonymous. But yeah, I've got a lot of I do, we do, always. Okay, yeah, that's typical. And by the way, here's the good news is you're in the right place. The bad news and the reality is you will always have issues. And I don't mean that from saying that M says yes, no names. Uh, the bottom line is that whether you have great credit or not, you are still going to have credit issues because we're depending upon these lovely people in the credit industry to report our history. And it's as simple as reporting the news. So let me give you some real live news, um, that you need to understand. Sandy, you asked a question, and I'm going to answer that question for you in just a few minutes as Brian Douglas goes away. Sandy's asking, what's the difference between my real name and Brian Douglas? So she wants to out me. In any event, here's the deal. All of the news in the world is predominantly fake. Okay, which means that your credit report, which is news, is also predominantly fake. That's the challenge, that we have to be able to go in and clean up and clear up what the untruth is about what's being reported about us. And just in terms of the reality, I mentioned I live in Bangkok, or I'm coming from Bangkok, which is where I live right now, and I've been here for a couple of years now. You may have seen on the news reports that the city is shut down, that the government is in turmoil, that it's not safe to walk down the streets. There are a number of people that have shut down major intersections in our city, and they're protesting, and rightly so. Some of the issues with the government, and by the way, both sides, as we've experienced in the United States, for those of you in the U.S., they're both sides of every issue that are at fault and that are equally incompetent, no matter which side of the aisle you're on. That was, I think, politically correct. But the bottom line is that Bangkok is a fun place to be right now. The protests have been peaceful. I mean, people in Ukraine should be taking a lesson from what we do here. Streets are shut down. People have put up food booths and T-shirt booths and trinket booths, and it's like a giant street fair. And the problem with it all is that people are scared to death of coming here, and business is off by about 60%. We're having a great time. So as we look at your credit, I want you to think about the fact that regardless of where you are, whether you have credit issues or not, you have credit issues. And the issue is getting your story reported truthfully, which does not really exist. Okay. So if you're frustrated, if you're having issues, you're not alone. Okay. The bottom line is that you're getting rejected in so many cases for fake stuff. And that's the problem. So whether it's bad stuff that's not yours, mistakes you can't get off, or if you paid a small fortune to credit repair companies, which so many of you have, or even if you're having problems with your relationships over money, you are in the right place. The bottom line is that and you see this picture from 60 Minutes, they did a story about 40 million mistakes. That's just part of it. And yeah, we're talking about things that are going to be taking place in Congress. The fact is that while there may be discussion, it's going to be a while before it happens. And even if there is some kind of a law, the fact of the matter is that there's still an issue of compliance. And it's going to take years before people are really going to benefit from something like this. The story that 60 Minutes reported, which you can Google, it's online and on YouTube and a number of different places. It's quite scary. It's quite scary. But the good news is that you are today in the right place, because I've been there, done that, and got the T-shirt and literally changed my entire life based on what's happened with my credit. So let me kind of give you the backstory to this, and share with you and answer your question, because here's the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen. My name, as we have presented me in the credit business for a number of years, is Brian Douglas. My real name, however, is Ken Krell. And for those of you that are on my list, because I emailed my list too, knowing that a lot of you guys are snowed in today, I thought you might want to hang out with us for a little bit.
And Ken Krell.
Oh my God, I know. Oh my God.
Oh, you're here.
I'm here.
Awesome. I feel, and I feel so much better because I have this moral thing about, using aliases.
Yeah.
And I don't like to use them, and I felt so much shame, and I was meditating after I introduced you, and now I don't have to do that. Now, you know what? Now it's out in the open. Everybody knows your name.
Oh my God.
I remember Ken Krell when I first started teaching government funding back in when the world was just an intricate series of caves.
Yep.
And Ken Krell spoke at my first seminar. It was so wonderful. so wonderful out in Phoenix. It was
Yep, I
just a
emceed it.
brilliant time.
I emceed it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
and look at where we are today. I
Yeah.
never speak on stages anymore because I don't feel like it.
I thought it was just because since you're not drinking anymore, you can't drink Sam Adams on stage like you used to.
Yeah, well, you know that's true. But you know what? I had been before I stopped drinking. I had been told by a number of folks to stop drinking on stages. So, you know, if that's not an indicator of what's going on,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know what? I'm proud to be here today, and I survived. You know, that's the thing, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned here. But just like you know, when folks are in bad with their credit because of things that they may or may not have done, you know, I was irresponsible in so many ways, and almost died as a result. And here we are today, in a much different setting. And yeah, it's going to take years for me to repair what I've done to myself. But I'll tell you right now, you know, just like you know anybody who's suffering with bad credit or whatever your issue is, there's an opportunity out there to start over and start anew, whether it's February 13th or if it's January 1st. So
Yeah.
anyway,
We
I'm
are.
off my soapbox.
There you go. Until the next time. So here's the
Yeah.
scoop. Okay. So and first of all, you something about the moral stuff. Having a stage name and having a different persona is not anything unethical, particularly when you disclose it. So that's not an issue. We did create Brian Douglas for the credit piece because I thought it was great marketing to be able to have the FICO Insider, and it made sense. But there was another side to it, another reason for it, because I just like Sean. I mean, I just tell it as it is, and I'm pretty disgusted with the way the credit business has been done and the way people have been treated so unfairly. So, you know, having Brian Douglas as the FICO Insider was, to me, really great marketing, and also separated this brand from other things that I'm doing because I'm actively involved in helping entrepreneurs build their businesses. So understand that's where that's at. Then things changed. I was actively involved in real estate, made a lot of money in real estate, and knew Sean from being in the real estate training business for so many years, and developed land in Costa Rica. We had 500 acres just overlooking the Pacific coast, and really built one heck of a big business. And it was all in real estate. And I thought at that point that diversifying in real estate meant having real estate that was in different countries and having real estate that was single family homes and then land that we were going to develop and so on. When in fact, real diversification means real estate and maybe the market and maybe a business and other things that if the market turns to crap, you have a way of surviving. No one would have ever thought a few years back that there would be such a global meltdown that property values would plummet, not just by 10 or 15%, but by like 50% or more. And that the world credit situation would go to just be a complete disaster, even with hard money lenders. In a million years, I never expected to happen what happened. And I left myself so high and dry and so in such a place of I'll just use the word weakness, that it all fell apart. It all fell down, and I lost everything I had economically. And I say that economically because it's important to recognize that there's so much more than just the money. But not only did we lose the property, but I also had people involved that were investors that trusted their money with me, and these were people that were friends. I mean, it was a complete and total disaster. And more than the fact that I lost my homes, not just one, but lost everything, lost the land, lost all this stuff because I couldn't refinance it. We had property that loans were more than the balances, than the property value, as so many of you may remember. It was a disaster. I then had a heart attack. And actually when I emceed that event with Sean in Phoenix, I actually showed the video of the heart attack. Actually, we could see that. And then, that was a $130,000 hotel bill, hospital bill. And I was forced into bankruptcy. There was not a lot of choice of that. So kind of been there, done that. And by the way, my first bankruptcy, because I did more than one, was when I was 23 or 24 years old, and did not know how to run a business. So I've kind of been through that whole thing, that whole massive amount of shame of where you have to recover from it. And to go through that more than once is horrible. I mean, just absolutely horrible. It's like having economic leprosy. So having to go through it again at the age of about 50 or so, I'm not going to be specific there, was awful. And here's the thing. the bankruptcy court thought I had money hidden away because I was doing business overseas. So they thought naturally, if you're overseas, you got money hidden. No, if I had money, I would have used it to pay my investors and my friends and my family. So what I had to do was keep my business and my perceived business quiet. And so Ken Krell went on holiday or went into retreat for years, both because mentally and emotionally, I was a disaster, having felt like a complete and total failure. But also, if we put me out as a trainer or guru or anything of that nature, the perception to the courts and to those people that had my economic destiny in their hands, they would have thought, oh, he's rich, and therefore we need to take advantage of every potential that he would have, both now and in the future. So we put me on hold, me personally on hold, and Brian Douglas was then the front person and the nom de plume, if you will, for everything I did online, everything I did promotionally, from every conference I did, and so on. And I got to tell you, it was not easy. It was not easy for me, and what I didn't recognize was just how painful it was internally that I couldn't be me, and that I couldn't let the real me out there. So when we put Brian on holiday for the rest of my business about a year ago, because I was like, you know what, screw it, I can't do this anymore. And we left Brian in the credit business because it seems still logical for that marketing. But today, February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, as the snow comes and puts a white pallor over the hinterlands, Brian goes away. And so even when I give you the opportunity to become part of our credit rebound system, it will still say Brian Douglas on the packaging, but in fact it is me behind all of it. And for those of you that are having your credit issues and are dealing with an identity issue, with people messing with your identity and the fact that you don't feel whole because credit and perhaps your credit challenges have diminished who perhaps you think you are, understand that you can get past it. And the results that I've been able to achieve in my life and continue to achieve in my life, because it is always going to be something that's a process, the good news is that there's a way out. So I want you to understand that that I've kind of been there, done that. When people have said to me in the past, you don't understand where I'm coming from. Oh yeah, more than you possibly know. Because you got to understand that for me, not only was I hiding my name so people wouldn't perceive me as being incredibly successful and thus try to take more from me, the fact is that I stopped myself from allowing me to grow as much as I could in my business, and have been less than I could be for years because I had to hide. No more of that, guys. So what we're going to learn today, what we're going to do over the next hour, is first of all, how to raise your credit score 40 to 100 points or more within the next 30 to 45 days. Why 30 to 45 days? Because frankly, there's no time like the present. And if you want to get something done, you need to get it done now. The good thing that I've learned, and certainly working with Sean is not a slow guy. Sean wants results yesterday. And I think, given that you're in Sean's sphere, and some of you that are on my list, because I mailed my list also for this event, you guys are action takers. I know that. And you're kind of impatient investors. So if you are, and by the way, if you are, you can just pop in the chat box and say yes or hell yes. But I got to tell you, we've had people, and one of my good friends raised his score 136 points in 90 days. So if he can do it and our students can do it, you can too. And that's the key. It comes down, in this case, the way I like to play things out is we put together an exclusive 6-step system. And the fact of the matter is, everyone's just jumping in. Yes, 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 absolutely. I want you to understand where we're coming from, because I feel very protective about my audience, people that are on my list and the people that are out on Sean's list. And if I do webinars with others, and I don't teach this credit stuff a lot anymore, I really don't, because frankly, it reminds me of all of the stuff of the past, and I want to move forward. But I know that every one of you guys has an issue, has a concern, and as much as I don't like going back into and reminding myself of the pain that I've had to endure, fact is I want to help you guys and understand that I've had to, and I'll tell you some of the stories as I go through this. Having been in the mortgage business for so many years, I've had to work with people that have had credit challenges, and unless I could help them overcome those credit challenges, I couldn't write the loan. And if I couldn't write the loan, that meant I wasn't making any money. And my children, my pets, my family, they'll like the idea that Ken was actually bringing money in to be able to pay things like the mortgage and the phone bill, right? So let's get working on this 6-step system and understand that it comes from understanding that the odds are stacked against you. Okay, we are actually starting from a place sub-zero because the way this whole credit scenario works is their attitude is if you can't convince them, confuse them. Today we make it transparent. Today we turn the tables around, and today we take charge. First of all, understand that Sean's correct. I was trained and certified by FICO. At the time that I got trained by FICO, there were no more than about 200 people in the world that had been certified by them. Now understand that FICO is the company. It's the Fair Isaac Company, FICO. These are the guys, yes, the Darth Vaders of the world that have created the credit scoring industry. And I'm saying Darth Vader, but I got to tell you that to be able to have any kind of mass ability to get credit approved in a rapid fashion, there needs to be some sort of automation. I mean, I respect and understand that, having been in the mortgage business, but I began before FICO scores actually were important and even used in creating mortgages. And I want to tell you, we originated loans based on common sense. We knew every single borrower. We went through and we made credit decisions based on what was a logical progression of looking at their credit report manually. And you know what? We got a lot of loans approved. Our loans were good. And when we were audited by, for example, we were audited every year, I believe it was either every year or every other year by the state of New Jersey. The examiner would come in, they'd go through our loan files, they'd ask, we want to ask you about this loan, and I'd just yell across the room, what's the borrower's name? And we answered their question without even looking at the file because we knew who our customer was. Isn't that a big difference between you're being a number somewhere in some computer system where no one cares a damn about who you are? That's the difference right now, all right? So understand that I'm coming to you today from something that's called common sense. And if you're like me, you know the common sense is not all that common. But I want you to recognize that I want you to have the tools as the FICO Insider. I want you to have the tools that will help you actually build your business and get moving further along. Okay, so that's the big key. So Mr. X is going away, and yeah, Ken's telling it the way it is. I don't really care what the people want to tell me. The fact is that, and the fact, even with 60 Minutes and all these other reports, there's challenges. Now, I do have a couple bribes for you, and yes, I'll be sharing some top secrets that I consider to be top secrets of the industry over the next hour or so. But I do want to bribe you, and that is, I'm going to share with you the clear version of this picture. What you're seeing is one of my winning credit challenge letters. And I will read to you and give you the actual verbiage that comes from this letter. But this will help you tremendously in going to the credit bureaus to start cleaning things up, because there's ways to do it right, and there's ways that will do it that simply don't work. And by the way, I'm also going to share with you today the way to get your real credit score, because unfortunately, the vast majority of you, and I've done the study so many times that I know for sure, the vast majority of you have gotten the score that you think is a credit score. And yeah, it's a credit score, but not the FICO score. And it's only the FICO score that matters. So many of you have thrown money away and have lost a ton. Alexandra, I'm talking right in front of the mic. So you might need to come back in again. It may be on your end on volume. I apologize. Okay, so let's learn how to get your real credit scores, because you know what? The brutal truth is this. Unless you know what your real score is, you're not going to be able to fix it. And there's so many places online that are going to give you scores that have no basis in reality. And you'll buy that score, because that's what people tend to do, and you're getting in trouble. Now, here's the thing. You will find teaser rates, for example, for a car loan, say maybe 7%. Go ahead and apply for that loan thinking, no problem, my score is good. I looked at it online. It's a whopping 720. And then when they come back from that car loan place, you end up with a 12% loan. That's the reality of things. It's really bad. The fact is that your credit situation is not just about your car loan or your mortgage loan. It's also about getting denied jobs or losing jobs. It's not getting hired. We can go down the line, and it's also the number one cause of divorce. I mean, I used to teach people how to make money in real estate, and we'd ask, what's the number one cause of divorce? And we laugh, and I'd say it's marriage, but the reality is it's money issues, and we get a good laugh over it. But the fact is, people are constantly worried about money, especially now. Okay, especially now. And the thing is that bad credit is going to make it worse and worse and worse, especially with the credit situation being so dried up. It's not your fault. It's the way the business has gone, and it's not. I don't see it getting better for a while. I don't see it getting better for a while at all. So we've got to overcome that, and that's taking charge. Even dating. I mean, they're saying this one says a bad credit score is like having an STD. The New York Times did a story about this lady whose picture you see here. She's smiling, but she wasn't smiling during the course of the story that they unfolded. She's at dinner with a date, and she loved this guy. She thought that this guy was going to be tremendous. I mean, she thought he was the guy till they asked her what her credit score was. She told him date was over. Date was over. I mean, it's that ridiculous. Creditscoredating.com, where good credit is sexy, or date my credit score. I mean, it has gotten to the point where your credit score is what your reputation is. And it really is true. It's your business reputation. It's been that way for many, many years. But the fact is, it's gotten even worse. Now it's your insurance is based on that. Sometimes your utility bills are based upon your credit score. This is not an option anymore. This is mandatory for your business. It's like, for those of us that have been through any kind of a health issue, where I had a heart attack like four years or so ago. Sean, you've done a great job of causing yourself to actually work on rehabbing your body, and I'm so proud of you with what you've done.
I've had what two small strokes this year.
And I didn't know that. Yeah. So right now, taking care of yourself is not an option. Going to the gym and working out is not an option. Eating right is not an option. And watching your credit is not an option. Okay. This is really about us versus them. And they will not play fair, which means we have to do everything we can to take charge of it now. And I don't care whether you get a 760 credit score. It doesn't matter. You still have to protect yourself, which means monitoring it regularly and challenging them when they put bad stuff on your report. And they will. Wait till you see what we got. So are you guys ready? You guys ready?
Ready.
Okay, because this is what it's like out there, you guys. So let's go. All right, first of the 6 steps is find out where you are now. Because unless you know where you are now, you don't know what you've got to fix, because there are already problems on your report. If you're like over, I think the number's like 80% of the American public, there's things that are wrong in your credit report. Okay, so we need to find out where we are now. The first way to do that is to get your credit report, which is free. Go to annualcreditreport.com. That's annualcreditreport.com, and you're allowed to get your credit reports for free from all 3 credit repositories. In some states, you can get it twice a year, but at the very least, you can get it once a year. Pull your reports for free. Now, do not buy anything on that website, because they'll try and sell you other stuff. Just get the free reports, okay? That's rip off warning 101. Don't order anything other than the free reports. That's important. Look and see what that report shows you. You'll find things on there that aren't yours. You'll find things with balances that are incorrect. You'll find things that were closed out years ago that still show as being open. It is going to be a very interesting education. But right now, just get the report. Don't freak out. Just get the report. The next thing is we got to understand what our score is. All right. And do you know what your credit score is? Anybody think they know what their credit score is? Just pop in the chat box. Give me a big yes if you do, if you don't. Now, most people seem to think, a lot of people are saying yes. A bunch of people here are saying no. A lot of people think that they know what the score is. And that's interesting. Big question I want to ask you is, how'd you find out your score? Okay. How'd you find out your score? Now, I could go through a whole big survey of that, but the bottom line is most people, unfortunately, and it's about 90% of the people that we've surveyed over the past, 3 or 4 years, have gotten it from a place that has given them the wrong score, because they've fallen for what I call the great credit score scam. And I want to share this with you right now because you need to understand this. Ladies and gentlemen, there's only one FICO, only one score that matters. It's the FICO score. Most people get their credit scores here. They get it from TransUnion online. They'll get it from Equifax online, or they'll get it from Experian online. Okay. And they make millions upon millions of dollars selling you credit scores. Here's the problem. They're not selling you FICO. They're selling you garbage. Now let's take a look, because I want to share with you what some of them do actually tell you this in the fine print. So if you look at the terms and conditions way at the bottom on this Experian website, and by the way, websites may change, so you may be seeing something these are their terms and conditions from 2010. I went into the terms and conditions for you, scrolled all the way down, and what they sell you is what they call a plus score. Now take a look at what it says. It says the plus score is not currently sold to lenders and is not an endorsement or guarantee of your creditworthiness as seen by lenders, which means it's BS. They're sending you something that is completely worthless. If lenders don't see it, then what basis does it have in reality? Maybe it'll get you close, but close ain't it. It then goes on to say that the plus score is not a FICO score and may differ for a variety of reasons. So why would you buy this thing if it's not relevant? Okay, if it's not relevant. So that's a problem all the way down the line. Now, by the way, it's all BS. Everything you're getting from these folks is BS, which stands for bad story, for me to be politically correct. And by the way, even gurus are giving away bad information. A few years ago, I was on a webinar with somebody that talks about his credit education system, and he recommends this thing called Credit Keeper. So I went to Credit Keeper because I thought, okay, am I missing something? I always like to learn new things. I'm always a student, even though I'm still a teacher. And I go to this creditkeeper.com, which he recommends, and discover at the bottom that's copyright by HSBC Card Services, a bank, not FICO. Are they going to give you the real credit score? No. In fact, FICO, HSBC, I've always considered to be the arch devil when it comes to credit. They are very predatory in a lot of ways that I've discovered. And I thought just really bad business people in terms of credit is based on my opinion. Okay. So that's the first thing. You got to get the credit from the right place. There's only really one or two places to get your credit. It used to be only one. Now it's gotten to be two. The first place, which might be most obvious, would be to go to myfico.com. And you can now, because over the past year, what used to be the problem, and in the last webinar we did, Sean, you could only get two of the three credit repositories, TransUnion, Equifax, or Experian. You can only get two of those at myfico.com because the third company would not release their data because they were being, as far as I'm concerned, they were being jerks. That's changed now. So now you can pull all three scores at FICO.com and you'll pay for it. But it's worth it because you'll get the real FICO score. There's another way to do it, which may be less expensive for you and will actually give you the more relevant mortgage FICO score. And that is, and I'll answer your question in a second, Paul. The bottom line is, what I recommend you do, you go to your mortgage company and have them pull a pre-qual for you. Do a pre-qualification. Now, in fairness to them, let them know that you want to know what your FICO score is, and because understand they're going to pay for this. And they when you pull it, what they do is they pull what's called a tri-merge credit report, and that can cost them $50 plus or minus. So, and that again, those numbers go up and down. But I would be more than willing to reimburse that mortgage lender or that mortgage broker, whatever, whoever it is, for pulling that because it's the accurate report. You can say, well, I'll get it from my car dealer. Yeah, but the car dealer gets what's called a FICO enhanced report for the auto business because they look at different credit factors. Understand something. They have data points on everything about you. They probably know like what color shirt you're wearing today. They can get that detailed in data. Detailed in data. The credit that you're really most concerned with is the credit score that relates to your home mortgage. Now, Paul's asking, what about the new credit cards who advertise to give you a credit score each month? I think, Paul, I just explained that is all BS because unless you're getting it from FICO, they're not going to give you the real FICO score. They will talk about credit scores because they prey on the uneducated consumer. Credit score and FICO score, people think are the same thing. It's not. And when you think about the U.S. Congress coming in to protect you, the credit repair industry, and the credit repair industry, which is the people that are on your side, believe it or not, to help fight against the people that are releasing the bad information about you, they've already been warning that what will happen is that Congress will say you must get a credit report, you must get a credit score rather, but they're not going to require it to be FICO, and they're not going to require FICO to disclose the scores because they don't even know what the heck FICO is. Maybe we'll find someone that has a brain to get into that, but don't count on it. Don't count on it actually being properly protecting you. The only person that can protect you, my friends, is you. And this, by the way, is a constant and consistent fact of life. If you're thinking about the government taking care of you when you retire, if you're thinking about your company taking care of you when you retire with your own business and economics, fact is the only person you can count on is guess who? 3 letters, 2 vowels, YOU. It's all about you. Okay. So you've got to get the right score. You got to know how to get the right score. And then we got to determine, once we know what the score is and know it's on the credit report, we got to determine what our right strategy is for building that score. See, because it's one thing to understand what's on there, but the problem is that there's so much bad credit advice out there that if you follow what these so-called gurus tell you, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to do the wrong thing and you're going to make your score worse. And to me, that's a colossal waste. That's why I'm here. Because I got to tell you, I would much rather be like running in the park or doing my morning swim. But to me, it's more important to give you the tools you need to overcome this madness. I'm so passionate about it that's why when Sean and I talked about it and he said, I want you to do it this week, I'm like, fine, let's give it to everybody because you need to have this information. This will change the way you run your business, and this will open your eyes to what you're going to do in your life, and it will encourage you to take immediate action because you've got to actually do the right thing. So you guys ready? I'm going to try to check in with you guys. This has been helpful so far. Just pop in the chat. Let me know you're there. I know some of you are still cold with the snow, but there's still warm places in America. All right, great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Bob, Joan, Paul, Mary, Ted. Great. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Stacey says, awesome. Okay, cool. Good. You are my people. I love it. I got to share something with you as I move forward on this. Sean and I go back a lot of years, and when we did live events where we could actually see your face, see your smile, see you, raise your eyebrows and go, really? Or see perhaps a look of confusion if we weren't being clear on stage. We had that personal touch. We could go and we could walk around the audience and we could touch your shoulder. We could smile at you. When we do a webinar, the only way I can see your face, or at least your digital face, is by your going and responding in the question box. So where I get my connection with you is when you talk to me in the question box. Where I get my payoff, if you will, is by your talking to me in the question box. I love being able to serve you. So feel free, pop in notes, talk to us. This is what it's all about. This is how it becomes a two-way conversation. This is for you. Fair enough? And this is for all of you guys, and there's a lot of you here, so it's cool. And by the way, if I do miss specifically answering your question, I'll do my best because a lot of you are just going fast and furious, and this is great. So thank you all. All right, so let's get to the bad advice. This is remarkable. First thing is posting a consumer comment. So many people will tell you to post a consumer comment on your credit report. And I will tell you that it's like shooting yourself in the butt. Why? Because you'll say the wrong thing. If you don't know what to say, you're going to say the wrong thing. In most cases, people actually validate the debt rather than remove its credibility. You say absolutely the wrong thing. Say nothing. First of all, the likelihood of someone reading it, remember, you're being scored by a machine. The likelihood of someone reading it is slim to none. Slim to none. So you'll say the wrong thing. No one's going to read it anyway. Don't waste your time. It's just absolutely simply worthless. Okay. All right. Next. And to you, RP, we'll talk about the charge-offs in just a little bit. Hey, next, paying off liens or collections. Oh my gosh. Okay. Here's the thing. A lien or collection showing up in your report is there. If you pay it down, it's still going to exist. Paying it off is a different conversation. Paying it down still has you having a lien or collection. It's like being pregnant. Okay. You either are or you aren't, Blanche. All right. A lien or collection on your credit report is still going to hurt you. Now, if you want to pay it off, and by the way, if you want to pay it down because it gives you a karmic feeling of achievement and doing the right thing, that's great because you still have the debt. Okay, if the debt's real and you pay it down, it is a good karmic thing to do and it's good for your soul. But will it take care of your score? Today we're talking about your credit score, not the karmic nature of credit. Okay, especially since the cards are so stacked against us. But the fact is that paying it down still leaves it on the report. Paying it off will give you leverage. Paying it down is meaningless on your credit score. Paying it off, however, okay, will still do nothing for you unless you have the creditor agree to remove it from your credit report. Now, if they agree to do it, get that in writing. Don't make the mistake I made years ago of trusting somebody, a lawyer of mine, who said, oh yeah, they'll take care of it. And they never did. And we had nothing in writing. And I went back to them and I have to watch my language now, but they basically told me to drop dead. They got paid, and they wouldn't.
Why are you going to watch your language?
Because I'm trying to be nice. I'll let you be the one.
Yeah, but let's just be honest. I mean, this is an honest business. I mean, let's be honest about it.
All right, the assholes wouldn't take it off.
I knew I could get you to do it. Oh, I still have my sales tactics. Oh, that's
great. I tell you what, we paid it. We paid it off, and it was people that didn't even care. I mean, it was a collection agency. They got paid, and they made great money because they bought the thing at a discount. They got paid, and they wouldn't remove it. And that was just the woman being an absolute. Yeah, Peter says my virgin ears, and the fact is, they were just evil. They were evil. So get it in writing or don't pay them off. Plain and simple. And understand something, guys, that the fact is that most collection agencies have bought your debt. Not all of them, but a lot of them have bought your debt, and they will deal with you. They will negotiate because they bought it for like 10 cents on the dollar. So if you pay it off at 20 cents on the dollar, they've doubled their income. It's a great business for them, and they should be willing to take the stuff off of there. Okay, so that's the bottom line. So paying down liens. Don't do it unless you have a real solid result in writing. Next, documenting or challenging old stuff. Okay, this is just devastating for you if you do it wrong. If you understand something, that most stuff comes off your credit in 7 years. Okay, if you challenge something that's 5 years old, okay, you can revitalize it and have it go from being old to new, to have a new date on it. If you do that, you really screwed yourself. I mean, big time. Because FICO, and we'll get to how it's determined and how it's weighted in just a couple minutes. FICO doesn't look at the old stuff the way it looks at the new stuff. Something brand new is much more relevant than something that's 3 or 4 or 5 years old. So if you challenge old stuff, you make it new, and you can really hurt yourself. I mean, big time. So those are the easy ones. If you got proof that will get rid of something that's old, that is the low-hanging fruit. Let's work on getting rid of the new stuff and the hard stuff first. The low-hanging fruit we can deal with later on. Next, closing the wrong accounts. Another really bad one. Now look, listen. You may absolutely hate a certain lender. For me, it's Chase. Chase and Devil are in the same dictionary definition. Okay. I mean, the worst company ever that was created on the planet Earth is Chase Bank. Okay. My opinion, and I'm entitled to it. So thank you for my friends at Chase, to all you legal people out there, my opinion. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is that if you have an account that's like 5 or 10 years old and it has a high rate of interest with a company you can't stand, okay, that debt, or let me rephrase it, that credit card, for example, is a huge advantage to you. Now, you may hate them. You may not like the interest rate on it. You may not like the terms. I don't care. The fact of the matter is you have something that has a long-term relationship, and a long-term relationship is like the most important thing to you in your business of credit relationship, because the credit companies, the credit rating company, FICO, bases so much of your score on your history. So if you close out old accounts and all you have left are new accounts, you don't have history. You have just new stuff. And I think about it this way in terms of relationships. Sean and I go back years. We have a lot of emotional bank account. So we have a lot of history. It's good history. Okay. That's important. Would you trust someone that you met 2 months ago differently than someone that you've worked with for 10 years? Of course, the person with 10 years of history and relationship is much more credible. The credit repair companies work the exact same way. I was on a cruise ship recently, and in the big show lounge, they asked the audience, "Oh, who's been married longest?" And some ancient couple, they were married like 75 years, I think it was. It was something ridiculously wonderful long. I mean, these guys were old, to say it that way. And they were the cutest couple. And so everyone got up and they gave them a standing ovation, and they cheered, and the cruise ship gave them some chocolate covered strawberries and champagne, because we recognize and we respect long-term relationships. Close out your long-term relationships and you hurt yourself from your reputation. Really, really bad stuff. Okay. Really bad. So you got to be careful about that. Do these wrong and follow the bad advice, and basically look like this poor guy here, you're getting screwed. We can't have that happen. And furthermore, you're getting bad advice from places that you might respect, like Yahoo. I mean, Yahoo, you would think they're a great company with good information. Don't believe anyone unless they actually have credibility. 5 keys to unlocking a better credit score. You'd think that this will be helpful. This is ridiculous. Here's the 5 things they tell you. Tip number 1, pay more than the minimum. That's bull. That's bull. All the credit companies are reporting is, do you pay on time or not? Period. Paying more than the minimum has yeah, there you go. Paying more than the minimum has nothing to do with your credit score at all. It will help get your loan paid off sooner. That's wonderful and that's important, but it has nothing to do with your credit score at all. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, work out a plan. If you're not paying on time, you're being reported as not paid as agreed. A plan ain't going to help you. Okay. Now working at a plan to pay off your bills sooner and accelerate your debt reduction, that's a great plan to do. But if it's a workout plan with your creditor, it's not going to change your score. You're still screwed. You still aren't paying as agreed. That's how it's being reported. Your score is in trouble. Okay. Next. Whoops. Hang on a minute. Let me go back to this page here. Okay. Switching from a credit to a debit card. That is the dumbest thing ever in the world. Okay. Why? A credit card is credit. A debit card is simply a way of accessing your savings or checking account with a piece of plastic. It has no basis on credit history. Now, Susie Orman is trying to change that, and if she's successful, God bless her, because that would be nice. But being able to effectively write a check or get credit history because your check's clear, which is what a debit card basically does for you. I don't see how that's really going to be relevant. But if it can be done, great. But switching from credit to debit actually hurts you, not helps you, because now you have fewer data points to base your history on. If you get rid of your credit cards and go to a debit card, now you have nothing else to report, which is stupid. I mean, really, really stupid. Number 4, cutting up store cards. Now, look, if you are like me and you're a Macy's addict, I mean, when Macy's would send out those red postcards or put an insert in the paper or whatever about the Saturday one-day sale with 30% off, that was like, I was like a moth to a flame. I mean, oh my God, that's the greatest thing ever. But here's the thing. Yes, you're getting savings, but you're spending money you shouldn't be spending. So don't fall for that trap, okay? Sorry, Macy's. I love you, but not that much. Here's the thing. Take the store cards, put them in a plastic bag, okay? Put water in the plastic bag like a Ziploc, okay? Seal it up, throw it in the freezer. Don't touch that stuff. But keep the cards. Why? Because FICO wants a mix of different types of credit. They want to see installment loans, car loans, store credit cards, regular credit cards, gasoline cards. They want to see a mix of credit because that's what people will normally have. The better a mix you have, the better a varied credit portfolio, the nicer a score they're going to give you. Just that's that simple. So don't cut the store cards up. Keep them, activate them, use them once a year, once every 6 months or so, and not for a binge of $5,000, but use them periodically just to keep them active. And I'll say the same thing with gasoline cards as well. Use them just to keep them active and for only that reason, okay? Next, adding comments to your credit report. We talked about that earlier. Same thing. It doesn't make any sense, isn't really valid for you. So those are things, 5 keys that are completely worthless. And by the way, don't think Yahoo's the only one that's giving out bad information. Oh, no, no, no. I've seen really stupid stuff, a full page of stupid stuff on USA Today. The problem is that these are writers, they're not credit experts, and they're getting just crazy bad information. The advice is everywhere. You use it and risk lowering your score. And by the way, some of it can put you in prison because some people are telling you to use fake social security numbers. Okay, that would be really, really stupid because when you apply for credit, you are certifying your personal information, and if you're submitting that to a bank, that is federal. That is federal. It's called fraud. It's not real smart. So just do it the right way, plain and simple. So now you need to understand how the score is computed so we can go ahead and work and game the system to our advantage. You guys ready? You guys ready? Okay, excellent. Okay, how do you remove inquiries? You end up challenging them. Inquiries are going to be on the report for a while, and whatever the time frame of that is, they're going to be there. So inquiries aren't going to kill you so much. They'll bother you a little bit, but that's not your biggest issue, okay? Now, FICO, how is the score computed? The big bulk of it is 35% is your payment history. How do you make your payment history better? Pay your bills on time. I can't tell you any other way to do that. How do you pay your bills on time? Well, if income is a challenge, in other words, if you got more debt involved each month than you have income to pay for it, then the only solution that I see for you right now is work on building your income. Sean and I love teaching people how to raise your income with investments, with business opportunities. We teach people how to make money online. I'd rather see you focus on increasing rather than decreasing. Okay, so increase your income. Next thing you can do is, yes, you can negotiate things out with your creditors, but if you negotiate things out with your creditors, then you're not being paid as agreed unless it's a solid renegotiation. So I want to work on, for payment history, I want to work on, number one, making sure it's accurate. And the big way to fix your credit score in that 35% is to be sure it is accurate, or at least remove the inaccuracies or challenge. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Okay. Next is the length of your credit history. So that's that long-term relationship I was talking about, 15%. New credit, and what you're doing with that, that's 10%. Okay. So they do like to see some new credit, but not a lot of it. The types of credit, that's the variety of credit we talked about earlier, is 10%, and the amount you owe, which is huge. I'm not talking about your balance. I'm talking about the ramifications of this. The amount you owed is a 30% rating. So 30% and 35%, your amount you owe them and your history, huge. So where should we focus? Let's focus on the bigger areas that we can actually affect and change. So your biggest priorities then are going to be, number one, add positive reporting accounts to overcome any of the negative ones. That's the first thing. Then eliminate your negative credit history. And there's some there. I promise you there's some there. And then improve what I call the credit utilization ratio. Now, what is the credit utilization ratio? Credit utilization ratio is the ratio of what you owe versus what they will let you borrow, what your credit limit is. And by the way, it is easily the number one way that lenders are screwing us. And so many of us over the past few years have been completely destroyed by the credit utilization ratio. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about so that you can completely understand it. It's nasty, but it's reality. And by the way, this affected people with good credit equally, in fact, probably even worse than people with bad credit. Surprising, I know. But if you had good credit, you got hurt more than anybody else. Okay, Joan says, I can't wait for the pictures. Oh, that's for Sean's kid. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. But I got pictures coming for you too, Joan. Let's say for a minute that you have a credit.
My ADD is causing me to have chats in the background here. I apologize.
No, I see that. It's cool. I like looking at pictures too. And
well, I haven't talked to some of these folks in a while. So now that I'm back up and healthy again, so
I think it's great.
Good to hear. I'm excited about how many people are on here and how many people are really interested in this topic. So. Keep up the good work there, Ken.
I appreciate it. I'm having fun going through this, and as you can tell, I have a little bit of energy here, and I want to make sure I get through so much of this because we're all running a few minutes late, and I promise you I'd have this done in a more time effective fashion than the 5-hour presentation I usually give. So you guys doing okay? All right. So okay, cool, excellent. So here's the deal. If you had a $10,000 credit card or $10,000 line of credit, either way, same idea. Okay, if you borrowed $9,000 of that $10,000, that's pretty bad in the way they look at it. Okay, they want to see you at being 40% of utilization of that credit. Okay, because they feel that if you don't need it, then you're in a more stable condition. Now that's the way they look at it. Now, by the way, as a lender, and I've been a lender for a lot of years, I want to tell you that's flat out stupid. Why do I say that? Because if you're adequately paying your 90% debt, you can't get any worse. I mean, you can't get any further in the debt because your limit is 10. Okay, you are maxed out, and if you're paying that on time, it means you can handle it. You can handle your debt. Okay. Now, if you're at 40% and you're handling it, cool. But how do I know if you can handle if you charge any more? Tomorrow you could go to Atlantic City. I used to live in Philadelphia. We'd go to Atlantic City a lot. And tomorrow you could go, and gamble it away or charge some, big screen TV for the next big game. And now you're in debt up to your eyeballs. You're maxed out and you can't handle it. And your credit goes from good to crap. So, common sense in the credit business, I don't agree with it. I just want you to understand that. Okay. So that's the cool thing. Now, Stacy says that if you leave any balance on your credit card, you lose FICO points. Now, Stacy, you should be good to about 40%. And Stacy says always under 10%. You know what? Obviously, the best thing is not to use credit at all, and pay cash at the end of the day. But we're credit people. So I'm going to advise you just to keep it under 40%. But again, everyone's scenario is different, and it may be that they're rating you on something else you're not aware of. Without seeing your full credit report, I can't really tell you. Okay, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But here's what happens. Okay, so right now you're good. What happened to us a few years back, and still today it happens, is that you were at 40%, you were good, they loved you. But then what they did was they said, you know what? Let's just screw all Americans. Let's drop, since you're not using it anyway, let's drop you to a $5,000 credit limit, which took you to 90%. And that took you to an 80% credit utilization ratio. And what happened to your credit score? You were screwed. Now, FICO insists this had no bearing on anybody's credit score. Can you say bullshit? Okay. I mean, flat out, it's ridiculous. And this is clearly not your fault. But what they did by simply reducing your credit line, they absolutely hurt you. Again, not your fault. And the guys that were in good shape, that were responsible credit payers, were the ones that got hurt the most. Wasn't your fault, but it's what happened. So what you got to do is act strategically right now. And by the way, it means now, because you got to lock in your long-term rates now before things change. And when I say things change, here's my crystal ball. I believe without any shadow of a doubt that given what's going on in the world economy right now, FICO is going to change their parameters. Just like, for those of us that market online, Google changes their pandas and their hummingbirds, and the next thing is probably going to be called Godzilla. The parameters that FICO is going to be using is going to change. Now, we haven't seen it yet, but that's my prediction. I think it's going to be pretty dramatic. That's my guess. When that happens, all bets are off. And we won't know exactly what to do to fix things. Now, at least we have a really good, clear idea of what to do. And so what I'm going to suggest that every single one of you do is go in, clean up your credit, take off some of the bad things that are there, the inaccuracies and so on. And then once that score is up to where it needs to be, and by the way, even if it's good right now, then what I still want you to do is go look at everything that you owe and look at whether it makes sense to refinance it, particularly if you have home loans or car loans. If you can drop your rates now and lock them in for long term, that's the best way to do it. Because again, things are going to absolutely change, and I want you to be handled early, not late. I'll give you an example of why this is so important and some of the drama here. And I'm going to make this real quick. This is my friend Melissa. Not her real name. Melissa she called me up from Las Vegas. She was completely freaked out. She was at a trade show. She could leave to go home early. She lived in San Diego at the time, and she was ready to go home. So she called Southwest Airlines. I wanted to change my ticket. And they were like, well, it's a $50 change fee. And I may have the airline wrong here. But the bottom line is to change her ticket and go back home was going to cost her a whopping $200. And the ticket only cost her initially like $100 when she bought it. So that was pretty stupid. She's like, okay, I'll just rent a car. Goes to the car rental place. And by the way, she has lousy credit. Goes to the car rental place, and they want a deposit on her debit card because she didn't have any credit cards. Well, she didn't have enough money for the deposit in her checking account, which means that she couldn't get the car, long and short. She couldn't get mom to call in with her own credit card. I mean, it was you had to have it in hand that moment. She didn't have the money in her debit card to be able to even get the deposit in place, could not get a card. She's calling me from a bus, going on a bus from Vegas to San Diego, humiliated because she had already told her family that she was coming home early. She couldn't just stay in Vegas because she had that option. She already checked out of the hotel. She's in tears. What can I do, Ken? So I said to her, I said, Melissa, I will be happy to tell you right now, you need to just, calm down. There's nothing you can do on the bus. When you get home, call me, but promise me that you'll actually do what I teach you to do. And she said, I promise. She got back home. I told her what to do. Do you think she did it? Anybody want to guess? Okay. Didn't follow the instructions. So the bottom line, guys, is you actually have to take charge of things. I mean, you got to actually take charge of things. Here's what I told her. Okay. Are you guys ready? And by the way, if I tell you, will you put stuff into play? Will you actually take action? Okay, good. All right. I'm seeing a lot of yeses. All right. So here's what I told her. I told her about something called the piggyback. This has been my favorite way to raise scores fast. And it was something we did for years when I was in the mortgage business. I mean, it was just like the easiest slam dunk way of taking somebody from crap to shiny diamond level credit. And then it went away because FICO recognized what we were doing and they took it away from us. Now it's coming back. Now it's coming back on a limited basis, and there's some restrictions here. So I want you to pay very close attention to what I tell you here. Now the piggyback is this. Find somebody that has good credit, someone with a great credit score, and what you do is you get added to their credit report, to their credit cards, for example, as a co-borrower, to an installment loan, to a car loan, to a credit card, and so on. Usually it's on the credit cards that we did it. And by doing that, you're reported as well with their payment history, because the payment history is being made. You're a co-borrower as well. So therefore, if it's being paid on time, it affects you. Now, that's what we did for years, and it was really good. I mean, it was like within 30 days, bam, you were good to go. It was so cool, and it went away. I mean, they figured it out. Okay. The cheese got moved. Now it's being opened up because of something that really makes sense. And the makes sense thing is that if you have a bona fide relationship with somebody like your spouse or your mother, your father, or whatever, then it's logical for you to be on it together. So if you have a bona fide relationship, you're at the same address, you have the same last name, FICO will record that payment history and let it apply to you as well. Okay. Now, again, things are moving target. And if I tell you FICO does it today and you watch us on the replay in 6 months or whatever, and you say, but Ken, you told me, listen, things change. But right now, that's what we know things to be. Okay. So that's why I'm saying the sense of urgency right now for you to take action where we know things are now is so important. Now, remember, if you're going to do this with somebody and they're going to put you on a credit card, don't hold the credit card. Give the credit card back to them. This is not about charging stuff. This is about reporting. So you're not to use anything. If you got new credit cards, for example, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, you're not to charge those credit cards. You're to just have them for credit purposes. Okay, that's one of the biggest ways to build and boost your credit score instantly. So we did that. We suggested that with Melissa. She got lazy, and then like 6 months later, got the phone call, and I had to yell at her. All right, so take action. But the piggyback is a great way if you have relatives that have good credit to do that. And understand something, that when I was recovering from my first bankruptcy back many years ago, like about 30 so years ago, I had to borrow people's credit to buy homes. I had to borrow people's credit to get a car. I couldn't do anything on my own. Now, that was really a blow to my ego. It was awful, and it was very costly, because when I was buying houses, for example, using someone else's credit, I was renting their credit. I was paying for their credit, and I ultimately was required to have a partner in every deal I did. Couldn't do anything on my own because my credit wasn't good enough. We can't allow that to happen to you, because it gets very, very expensive. Very expensive. It's more than like paying 12% for a loan that you could have gotten at 8% on your own if you had good credit. It's more than that, because it's not just one loan, it's many if you're a solid investor, as I was. Okay. So we've got to take full action on that. Let's jump on to reviewing the credit report for the errors, because there are so many errors on that report. The statistics are scary as hell. Okay. Nearly 80% of all credit reports have errors. When I said to you earlier today that your credit report has errors, I wasn't being flip. If you're like 80% of all Americans and Canadians and Australians and people in the UK, because all these credit reporting agencies are the same, you got problems. And by the way, 25% of those errors are so bad you can be turned down. And by the way, you can talk about cleaning stuff up. But it's not going to happen overnight. And if it's a job that you're thinking about or trying to get a job, it's going to be a problem, because they're not going to wait for you. They're not going to wait. And they don't want a credit letter explaining things, especially if you're like a public company. There's a lady named Beverly, again, not her real name, that was she was out of work for a couple of years. There was cancer in the family, a lot of health issues, and her credit took a dive because she had to deal with all those things, and she wasn't working. Because she had to be the caregiver. She is a chief financial officer. I mean, a financial person, and one of the leading people. I mean, not someone that's a low level executive. She was like CFO quality for public type of companies. So finally, after putting herself back in the job market, unfortunately, the person that she was caring for passed. So she's grieving, number one. Now she wants to get a new job. She thinks she's got it nailed. She's waiting for the phone call from the CEO to make her the offer. And all signs were great. She was in for like multiple interviews. So she was like ready to rock and roll. CEO gets on the phone and says, Beverly, we love you. Unfortunately, your credit sucks. We're a public company. We can't have our chief financial officer have a crappy credit report. Plain and simple. We're public. No job. Beverly doesn't have it. So, it's a significant issue, and it's real. I mean, it's absolutely real. So you just can't have that stuff kind of happening. These inaccuracies will kill you. Keith is another one. Keith goes to Hawaii with his fiance. Whoops, rephrase. She didn't know she was going to be the fiance yet. They were going for holiday. Keith had been through the mill credit-wise, and is coming out the other end. I mean, and she stuck with him. I mean, she stuck with the loss of the job. She stuck with him with all the stuff, and she knew the story. And he was so grateful, and their connection was so tight. She's bringing her to Hawaii, going to propose to her on the beach. I mean, all set to go. They get to the car rental place, Thrifty Rent-A-Car, I think it was, and I have a history with them myself. Get to the rental place. Now they arrive late. It's like midnight, and they turn him down for a car. What do you mean they turn him down for a car? They turn him down for a car because they run credit on his debit card, because all he had was a debit card, and he had like thousands of dollars in there. It wasn't a matter of money. The credit sucked, and they ran it through, I think it was Equifax, and turned him down. Nothing they could do. Now his fiance to be is like, she rolls her eyes and she says, "Come on, honey, let's go someplace else." They get a car from somewhere else. Had to pay double the rate because there was now a rack rate, a walk-up rate, not the sale rate that they had gotten, the promotional rate that they had ordered months earlier. Okay. Now imagine, by the way, if it wasn't such a solid relationship. Imagine if it was a rocky relationship and you're trying to renew things with your spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend, and this kind of stuff happens. Not a great way to start that rekindling. The good news is a couple of days later, he did propose to her on the beach. All things are great. They're married and everything's good. But why go through that madness? Now, Sean, we did this presentation about a year or so ago, and you had a thing with Thrifty, I think.
Yeah, I still, in fact, I just went through this again. I'm not taking your advice, Ken, and it's not because I don't love you. I haven't used credit cards in several years. I've been blessed to have enough money in my accounts to work off of cash, and that's just been the way it is. And I didn't get a credit card, and as a result, and my credit's never been really good because that's kind of the background of being in real estate. You're always in and out of deals, and there's things that go bad, and so I don't care. Anyway, I fly back and forth to Indy probably 3-4 times a year. Well, actually, last year I think I went there 10 times. And I go there quite a bit, and I get to the counter, and Thrifty always has the best deal. They run my debit card, and it goes to my business credit of the business that I run the debit card, which is just a pass-through entity. And the pass-through entity has no credit history because it's just a holding company, and it has no need to have credit. And a lot of our, I don't want to get into too much detail, but a lot of what we do, doesn't require reporting. We use lenders and investors and cash and all this stuff on the funds and whatnot that don't require reporting. So I don't have every entity that I use, particularly my operating account. I don't have a credit history on it. And once it denies it Thrifty, that's it. They will not take anything else.
Right, exactly.
They will not rent to you, and that's it. Now, I was in this situation where I was like, well, what the hell am I going to do? Like, I guess I got to get a cab. And where I'm doing my work in Indy is about a 35-minute ride away from the airport. Anyways, this nice woman at the counter, she said to me, clearly this is, annoying you. She said, go over to National.
Yep.
And they'll rent to you. And I literally took a couple $100 out of my pocket. And I said to the kid, what are you going to do? He goes, oh, you don't need to pay me off. I'll just rent you the car. So there it is.
Yeah. And I've had the same thing. I've had the exact same thing. So I use National. Alamo is the same company now. I use Enterprise. Enterprise is great, but you got to be careful.
Yeah, Enterprise will do it.
Yeah. But you got to be careful. You got to be careful because I got to the airport in Fort Lauderdale about I guess about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and they're like, we don't do that. And I had to have a little conversation with them, and they did it. I mean, they took care of me. They're a great company. But anyway,
Enterprise will always work with you. And I'll tell you this, and then we can move on. But because I know you and I are doing another call, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe. So anyway. But here's the thing. I used to travel pretty much every other week, and now I don't travel as much. I mean, my point of travel. I mean, I have 3 trips scheduled in the next 4 weeks, but all of them, I call ahead, I plan ahead now. Everything's planned ahead. I used to just, jump off at an airport and I'll find a car. What the hell.
Yeah.
And I don't do that anymore because you never know, like the credit cards, and then you got to be on a plane, you got to have a credit card, and some don't. Some used to not take debit cards, so you got to be very careful about how you're doing it. So
you do.
Anyway,
you do.
But the reality is I'm walking a tightrope by not having a credit card, and it's because I don't want to deal with the credit issues on all the different entities that I run, and so I'm in the same boat that every single person that has commented here in the on the webinar here tonight. I'm in that same boat.
Yeah, it's guys, it's that serious. I mean, it really, really is. And when I give you some of these horror stories, it's not just to really highlight the issue. It's reality. I mean, it's absolutely reality. As I said, when I got to the airport in Fort Lauderdale, I had ordered my car in advance, and I had a problem, and I had a problem. So I got it sorted out. I mean, it was just a fast discussion with the manager there, but I had to go to the manager there. We became great friends, and it was a fun ending and a fun experience to the degree that we bonded because I like to make every experience as fun as I can. But it shouldn't have to be that way. It should have been, hey, no problem, sir. And instead it was, hey, no car, sir. And then everyone just laughed. So you shouldn't have to deal with that. It is not empowering. And if you take charge of it initially and understand how to work it, it'll be a lot better and a lot less embarrassing. Think about this, for example. If I was there by myself, but if I was there with someone I wanted to impress or a business associate or something, would not have been cool. Would not have been cool. So you got to plan these things in advance. So let's take a look at the errors here that you'll see on your reports that are pretty scary. And by the way, you may find that your credit report is perfect today, and then next month it's garbage because, again, bad reporting. So you've got to be vigilant. Names that aren't yours, number one. Social securities that aren't yours. Addresses that you've never lived. Accounts and delinquencies that are not yours. Items that are older than 7 years that are negative. Okay. Every one of these errors can drop your score by 100 points or more. I mean, it's that dramatic. It's that interesting. Huh? That's why you got to be vigilant about all this stuff. Now, a picture can say a lot of words. These guys truly do have their head up their butts. So you've really, you're going to be angry about it. I mean, Sean and I, we vent a lot about this sort of thing. But the fact of the matter is, you got to understand this is how it is. You can yell and you can scream and you can be frustrated, but this is the reality. The reality is that, yeah, you're going to have to plan accordingly. Taking charge of your credit is not an option anymore, guys. It really is an us versus them. The surprising results are that when you do know how to do it right, you can truly have a position where you don't have to worry about things anywhere like you used to. Now, having no credit is probably not the greatest thing in the world. And mind you, I have like 2 credit cards now, and they don't have big balances, and I'm working on building those up because I had to declare bankruptcy again a second time, and I got rid of everything. And having no credit, not really good in terms of building a credit score. Dave Ramsey talks a lot about not even worrying about credit scores anymore, and I completely disagree with that. But the reason why he says that, having gone through a bankruptcy himself and teaching a credit rehabilitation course, which is one of the requirements for bankruptcy, by the way, he teaches kind of a fun one. He basically teaches you to never have a credit card again because he doesn't trust you. Because he doesn't trust that you have the ability to manage your credit and not get into debt again and become a chargeaholic or deal with and by the way, most people they're not going bankrupt because of credit card charging issues. They're going bankrupt because of things like loss of a job or bad health or things of that nature. I mean, if you have a heart attack or a stroke, that's enough to bankrupt you. The bill for my 90-minute surgery for my heart attack was $130,000. If the heart attack didn't get me, the bill would have gotten me. Okay. Now we negotiated it, but nonetheless, it was still ridiculous. Okay. So without going into the drama of healthcare in the U.S., let's talk about what you can do, because we created a system, no shocker there, that will and Joan, we do have sound. I guess you can't even say that if you say no sound. We did create a system that will help you actually put your credit score back where it is. It's a giant program. It's called the credit score rebound system. And the thing that we attack in this system are your bankruptcies and your charge-offs and your judgments and your short sales and any late payments, tax liens, and so on. All the nasties that show up in your credit report, I love going after these things because it's that important. Now I'm going to take you through some of the modules, not all of them, because quite frankly, there's a bunch. I mean, we've just taken it from soup to nuts, and we've turned it into it's a video course, and there's audio with it as well. If you prefer to learn audio, there's also a workbook that goes along with it for each module. So we're going to teach you how to get your real FICO score. And again, I want you to understand that some lenders actually intentionally keep your scores low. Oh, yeah. You were thinking that there was ethics and integrity here? No. What they would do is they would not report things like the fact that you paid loans down. So that way, in the old days when they were competing for trying to steal customers away from each other, they wanted to have your score look as bad as possible so that when their competitors were actually searching for new customers and looking for the A-rated credit people to offer them, new credit cards with zero balances or zero interest rates, for example, that you wouldn't appear in that list, so they couldn't go after you and poach you. That's what they were doing to you. I mean, understand something. This has been a malicious, premeditated method of hurting you, not an accident. The odds are really stacked against you. Let's go to module 4, which is how to develop your credit rehab strategy, how to deal with collection agencies. There's ways to work with the collection agencies that will really help you. The first one is you negotiate the debt. Don't ever pay what they ask you for, number one. And number two, if it's a real debt, you want to negotiate it down and you get in writing. And someone asks, how do I do that? You tell them very simply, I'll do this if you give it to me in writing. Without writing, don't do it. It's that simple. And you can blame it on your lawyer. You can blame it on your preacher. You can blame it on your cat. But the fact is, understand something. The people that are you're talking to on the phone, they're minimum wage employees. They got bad credit too. They're doing their job. They're not, that's most of the employees. When you get to the management level, that's when you start meeting the pond scum. But the average person you're dealing with on the phone, they're getting a commission, they're showing up for work, they're trying real hard to make ends meet too. So don't treat them as the enemy, even though they are. The best way to treat an enemy, by the way, is your best friend. Smile at them, be nice to them, and don't give them the hard time. Because guess what? Everyone else is doing that. If you are nice to them, you get a much better shot at getting a better result. Do it yourself debt negotiation. Yeah, if you got debt, you can negotiate it down. But remember, the strategy's got to be that when you negotiate it down, you get in writing what they're going to do to help you. You will reclaim your power. And by the way, I'll take you through exactly how to do it and the best forms you need to use to negotiate your disputes, because it's really important. In Module 6, we go through credit counseling. Credit counseling. It can be a good idea or it could be score suicide. What do you think? Good idea or score suicide? What do you think, you guys? Okay, some people are saying that it's a great idea. Well, if you have no other choice, it's not a bad idea. But in most cases, it's absolute score suicide. If you can some people absolutely are score suicide. It's horrible. It is the same as going bankrupt, just about, because what you're doing is they're renegotiating your debt. They're paying it off for you in little pieces, and so it's like a slow cancer. And again, you're being reported badly. It's an alternative to bankruptcy, but not going to build your score. In Module 11, we talk about do it yourself credit repair. I want you to start out doing it yourself. And by the way, we'll share with you exactly why 95% of all credit bureau disputes are red flagged and how to prevent it. You do not want to mess this part up, guys. Most people do. They say the wrong thing, they send in the wrong letter, and they're flagged as being frivolous credit disputes. That will absolutely kill you. You can't afford that. Remember, I understand how this works. FICO trained me, okay? There are a lot of people out there that can say that. So I want you to understand you're getting solid information that's going to help you and build you. If you are a credit prisoner, you need to absolutely take advantage of this system. There's just, it's one thing to say, yeah, you can buy my stuff and make $1 million. This is not about buy my stuff and make $1 million. This is about take charge of your credit situation, which is not an option. This is like, is your health an option? I don't think so. Is having a healthy relationship an option? I don't think so. This is like as important as oxygen to you. There's a guy, Bo Majors. His 1-year transformation started out 30 days late 30 times out of 60 chances with a Toyota loan. I mean, this guy was 13 times late over 30 days, 3 times over 60 days, $4,000 local bank loan on a loan, 2 medical collections, and so on. Goes from that to, by the way, it was all true and accurate. So he was freaked out. His bottom line is this stuff takes time, but if he can do it, so can you. He got his credit report. He started working on it. He started disputing, negotiating, did all the things he needed to do, transformed his credit. Took him a year. But I got to tell you, unless you start now, you can have the same conversation with me next year and you'll be in the exact same boat. And by the way, the reality is that most people won't take charge. You and I both know this. We know we can't reach everybody. We know that. But the people that are serious, that want to make changes, will make that change. Our objective is to take your credit reports and remove the things like the tax liens and the negative credit issues and the medical issues and so on. All that stuff, we want to take it off. I can't play videos for you right now, unfortunately. But in terms of testimonials, but this guy, I mean, rocketed major change in his credit report. Things like this. We want to just get the Verizons deleted and the medicals deleted and the AmeriCredits deleted. Deleted is what we prefer. Doug went from really crappy credit, follow what we did, went up 126 points in less than 90 days, disputing the right way. And it's about doing things the right way. Okay. We want to see things coming off, deleted, or at least fixed. Now, by the way, here's the brutal reality, my friends. It's not going to happen all at once. It's going to take multiple times. One of our strategies is to have a happy dance when you get stuff taken off. But after you dance the happy dance, you got to go back the next day and resubmit your complaints. Another testimonial I'm unable to play for you here. But I understand something. With my program, I absolutely guarantee you're going to get results. I guarantee your happiness. You got to be happy. Okay, you absolutely got to be happy. Here's the thing, though. You got to use the strategy. If you use it and apply what I tell you, you will raise your score within 90 days. No question about it. But you got to do something with it. If you're planning on using our system, or rephrase, or investing in our system and putting it on the shelf and thinking your score is going to raise magically because you actually invested in it, it doesn't work that way. So save yourself the hassle. Don't get it if you're not going to use it. But if you're going to use it and be serious, I promise you, you will have results. Absolutely. Understand something, guys. The best deals go to people with the best credit scores. Dick and Debbie. Okay, Dick and Debbie went looking for a house. Okay, not together. They're two separate individuals. His score 600, her score 720. The difference, they go buy the house. His 600 score on a $250,000 loan gives him a nearly 8% credit, 8% interest rate. Now, by the way, the rates are not the issue. The comparison is. Okay, his monthly payment is $1,800 a month. Total payments $650,000. Debbie's loan, a little different rate, huh? Little different payment. Her total of payments, hundreds of thousands of dollars less, right? Dick pays more. How much more? $546 a month, nearly $200,000 more. Here's the lesson. Don't be a dick. The bottom line is you got to fix it. What should Dick have done? I mean, the banks love Dick, but what should Dick have done? He should have waited a couple months, fixed his credit, then gone to get his loan. A couple extra months renting, a couple months extra planning would have saved him thousands upon thousands of dollars. It's that scary. Someone's asking about attorneys. You can use attorneys, absolutely, but do it yourself first. Do it yourself first. What about Lexington Law? It's just another attorney. But the key is, okay, that you'll pay them a lot of money and they'll take a long time when you can do a lot of it first. Get the easy stuff done, take care of the low-hanging fruit, and then go to an attorney if you need to. But don't start with an attorney and spend all the money when the stuff you can do yourself, and do it better and easier, quite frankly. Okay? I mean, that's my take on it. All right. Let's see. Stacy says, and Stacy says Lexington Law didn't do squat. Yeah, you're a number to them. And if you're giving them a lot of stuff, you're going to pay more. I mean, it's like $1,000 a year at the end of the day when I started looking at what their numbers were. So you're going to get over 3 hours of video, 3 hours of audio, and complete transcripts. It is not a 15-hour course. We don't need to spend that much time. We need to just get to work. So I give it to you in a fashion that's quick and easy to use, that is that defined. Okay. Some bonuses for you. We're going to give you 101 strategies to upgrade your credit score. That's a perfect add-in, including the quick call you got to make to rapidly increase the score and to avoid the online loan comparison trap. They're out to get you. We'll help you avoid that. One simple phone call that may help out your credit, and the small difference in scores that have a huge impact on the interest that you pay. Huge. It's a $79 value. It's yours with the program. Our dispute letter library. We're going to give you all the letters you need to send out. And by the way, we'll give it to a Microsoft Word format, which you will not use, by the way. Just as an FYI, you won't use the Word format. I'll show you why in a minute. Okay. Bonus number 3, identity theft. Identity theft, the average American is losing about $6,000 anytime there's an identity theft issue. It is ridiculous. I want to make sure that you're protected because that affects your credit score. So get the Identity Theft Protection Clinic manual, and then my ninja secret weapon to a fast credit score, and that's access to a secret line of credit of up to $2,500 or more. Now, this is again something that I have no control of. It's a third party that we recommend and that we've been using to help you get a new line of credit. It is a credit source that reports to one of the free credit bureaus, one of the free major credit bureaus. It allows you to improve your credit utilization ratio, plain and simple. It lowers that ratio, which nearly gives you an instant FICO increase. Okay, so you want to be able to do that. Remember, we went through what this is. If you can increase your available credit, then by having a new line of credit, for example, of $10,000, you go from 80% to 27%, which is golden. You want to be able to do that. But again, don't spend money. Now, what you'll find is that this particular one is with a retail store that reports. Don't be buying their stuff. And it may be, I don't even care what the price of it. It doesn't matter. You're doing this for strategy, not for purchasing. Some people get that mistake, and I get support things like their stuff sucks. I'm like, I don't care. I want the line of credit so that you build your score. That's the whole entire purpose. It's not to spend money. So let's be clear about this. Again, it's something that we don't do. And they used to do 10,000. Now they're down to a little bit less. So you want to take advantage of this one right away once you get on board, because again, another moving target we have no control of. Also, bonus number 5 is how to win the credit utilization ratio game. It's a special report we put together. And then 5 top strategies to increase your score fast. So altogether, oh, by the way, and any updates that we do, you'll be a member of the Credit Rebound Institute. And you'll also be enrolled in our Institute for Totalpreneurship, because entrepreneurs are partialpreneurs. Totalpreneurs have everything. So you'll be part of our family moving forward. And that's updates forever as they come out. So that's really important. So to summarize everything real quickly here, you're going to get the multimedia course with the audios, the videos, the transcripts, the 101 strategies to upgrade your score, the complete dispute letter library, the identity theft protection clinic, access to my source of that line of credit, which is like my secret ninja way of very quickly working on that credit utilization ratio situation, the 2 special reports, lifetime membership updates. It's a $2,000 value. Now, normally when we do a webinar, it's a $297. We've been charging that for a long time, but again, I love Sean, and you guys you came out today in the middle of a snowstorm, so I want to honor that. When you go within the next 48 hours, when you go to this URL, totalpreneur.com/credit rebound. Totalpreneur.com/credit rebound. You can grab it for $197. Okay. And that's totalpreneur.com/credit rebound. And I put it in the chat box for you here real quick. Okay. So go there. And when you go there, you'll see everything listed. Go ahead and make your payment. By the way, you can pay right now you can pay with PayPal. If you would like to use PayPal's Bill Me Later function, you can. And that means you pay no payments for 6 months. We love PayPal for that. So you can do that if you're paying with PayPal. But go over there and do that right now and get yourself started. The big question I have to ask you guys is, what happens if you don't do it? What happens if you stick your head in the sand and say, I'll get to this later. It's not really that important right now. I don't feel the pain. I'll do it when it really matters. And it's too late, bottom line. Okay, you may not change, but FICO is going to change, and now's the time to make things happen the way you need to make happen. Because again, if you don't, I can't help you. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, think about it. What's it really worth to Dick? $546 a month on his mortgage. To Debbie, she had an extra $546 a month she could spend. So what's it really worth to you? It's not just the money. It's the level of confidence of knowing that you're actually in charge, and you don't have to be afraid of going to the car rental place to get your car loan or to get your car rented. Okay, you don't have to be afraid of applying for a job or anything of that nature. The bottom line is that you can actually relax a little bit knowing that you're taking care of things. It's really that simple. Now, by the way, when you go ahead to the credit bureaus and people are asking about student loans and so on, we address all the issues about what you should complain about, when you should complain about them, and what the order is. Because, for example, a student loan may be something that you absolutely want to document. Some people, if you're bankrupt, for example, and they want you to send in your bankruptcy papers, don't ever do that. Ever. Don't try to help them. Their job is to verify. Your job is not to prove. They've got to prove it. You don't. People make that huge mistake and they send in the wrong stuff and they really hurt themselves. One guru that's been teaching credit for years admits that he sent in his bankruptcy papers, and for the next 2 years he was absolutely SOL, couldn't make a change, couldn't fix anything because he proved what they were saying. Let them prove it. If they can't prove it, you're screwed. I mean, they're screwed. They can't change. If they can't prove it, it's got to come off, plain and simple. So you can challenge everything, but you've got to be careful about the way you do it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is the letter that I showed you earlier, and there's one thing wrong with it. Okay, here's the thing that's wrong. This, by the way, is the letter you would send. Dear sir or madam, there seems to be a problem with my credit report. You're reporting it this account with this name as this being in arrears. I don't owe any money on this account, and the dispute you are reporting and dispute what you're reporting. Can you please check your records and make the proper corrections? Thanks for your help, Jane Jasper. Now, it's a very nice letter, isn't it? I mean, it's really a very, very sweet letter because you're not threatening. You don't want to go start threatening all the credit reporting stuff and all that. Okay. Whoops. Hang on a minute. Let me go up one. There's just one thing wrong with this. Anybody have an idea what might be wrong with this? Anybody have an idea? Okay. And by the way, Paul, yes, we do talk about increasing credit utilization, increasing income. No, come to the regular webinars, Paul, that I invite you to regularly about increasing your income, because we got to obviously do that. But the number one thing, keep switching slides here. The number one thing that's wrong with this is that you sent it in typewritten. In the course, we'll teach you this. Really important. People make this mistake all the time. If you send it in typewritten, it goes through their computer system. They scan it automatically. You don't get to a human. And if you go through their optical character reader and it's scanned, you're then reduced to a 2-character code. You don't get a human. The human can't make the mistake. If you make a mistake, they will probably find in your favor. So you want someone to actually read it and help you. When you go to a human, you get a much better chance than doing something by sending it in typewritten. So I hand wrote that and sent it in by hand. I do everything by hand. It makes it come from a real person, not from a third party. Really important. It'll make a big difference. So I'll take questions if you guys want. I'm happy to answer questions for you for the next couple minutes, because I know I've got another webinar I need to be on. And Sean, I promised you we'd be done earlier than this, so I apologize for going a little bit longer. But what I want you guys to do right now is take charge of your credit and go to totalpreneur.com/credit rebound. When you get there, by the way, let me quickly show you where we're going to be. When you get there and get into the members area, you're going to have access to all of the downloads, the video files, the MP3s, the transcripts for every single module. So depending upon what your learning style is, you have access to all of it, and then you continue on. You have the details on line of credit. There's so much information in here. You've got module, go to module 8 and so on and so forth. So this is all here for you, all downloadable, all available to you in the members. So much here for you to go with, and then your bonuses all appear as well. Okay, so once again, for those of you that are asking, the URL, if I can get there real quick, here we go. The URL is totalpreneur.com/credit rebound. And if there are other questions, the bottom line is, yes, it will work for you. It's important for you if your credit score is high. It's really important for you if your credit score is low. And the reason I say that is because you need to know where you stand now, and you need to know what you want to challenge. That's really, really, really important. So for those of you that are popping in, and I see some of you are already telling me you're in, just pop in the chat and let me know that you're in, so I can start looking for you. You'll be in the members area. You will be hearing about other ways in which you can increase your income, which is important. But first thing I got to do is make sure we clean up any of the inaccuracies that are on your credit report. So and I see Jamie is in. Congratulations. And Bill is in. I'm seeing people putting in. Stacy, it's 197 for you right now. Does it cost?
And by the way, Ken, I just to add in there, I put both links in the chat box, both your totalpreneur.com/creditbound or globaldealfunding.com/credit. Either one will bring you to the same exact page. To go ahead and get this, folks. I just want to add in here for a second, as it looks like folks have taken action here. I'm going to add a bonus. You want a bonus?
Ooh, we love bonuses.
Ken, maybe I'll even send this to you, but we'll see. So some of you probably know I'm doing Government Deal Funding 2.0. Just to be cliche-ish, but essentially I'm rewriting my course on government deal funding and really expanding it. In the next couple of weeks, folks who are on this call are actually going to be invited to the filming of it, because it's all going to be online and done online, and it's all about commercial real estate, and it's based on all that stuff. But of course, the first thing, the key component, what I've realized over the years is the key component here is that folks need to build the business, and in order to build the business, they need to clean up their personal credit. And this is why there's a method to my madness here. So cleaning up the credit is important. When you take action tonight, you're going to get the first part of my course, my new course, because it's done. It's not. I don't even know if it's. I mean, this is actually a piece of the course that I collaborated on, and it is. For some of you, you might have seen parts of it because I've been releasing parts of it on email, if you've been checking your email. It's how to build a business plan. And I'm going to send you the entire ebook. I have it in an ebook format, so everybody who, and all those people you just mentioned, Ken, I'm going to send a personal email to them tomorrow once you give me the list, or I'll be able to log in and see. I'm going to send them a copy of my ebook on building a business plan. All that, by the way, I'm going to sell that for $49. So it's a $49 value just to do that. Alex, it's globaldealfunding.com/credit. Give it a second, and it will go to totalpreneur.com, and there you go. You got the add to cart, and you can click right on there. I'm doing it as I say this to you. Oh, you know what?
I'll show everybody that. Hang on a second.
You are having a
what?
It must have gone down.
What? Hang on. I'm looking right now.
Go through the funnel, Ken. It looks like it just went down.
Let's take a look. I tested it before we started. I'm on here right now. So let me go ahead and hit.
Yeah, go to add to cart.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to pay. It's taking me right to PayPal right now.
And it stops.
It may be your connection on your end, Paul. Paul. Listen.
Oh, you know what? Let me just try. You know what it is? It's Chrome.
I think it's Chrome. I'm in Chrome right now. But you know what? My PayPal thing is not connecting right now. It's sort of interesting. It's
yeah.
hanging up.
I'm wondering if that's becoming an issue because
I wonder.
I thought it was my ad blocker, and it's not. I'm trying it on 2 different browsers, and it is. Well, a few people got in.
Okay. Let me check something else. Let me try another link here real quick. Credit. I think I got it. Credit Rebound. I'll give you another one here. I'm gonna check it real quick. Okay. CreditReboundInstitute.org/yes might work. Let's try this. Yeah, I see it, Alexander. We're going to test it here real quickly. CreditReboundInstitute.yes. I'm going to hit add to cart. Try this because it may just be PayPal. We got 2 different ways of going here. Yeah, now it looks like it's getting there. Okay, let me give you another one. CreditReboundInstitute.org/yes. Let me go in and I'll put that in the chat box. Wonder why that happened. www.creditrebound.org/yes. Let's try that. And that should work. Sorry, kids. I tested this all before we started here tonight, so I don't quite know why we're there. And I'm going to go change this on the slide real quick, so that way you see it on your screen as well. Very interesting, to say the least.
You know, now this is what happens. You know, Pete comes out. You know, he's a raging righty. You know, he thinks it's the same people who built the Obamacare website built this website. See what we have to face it?
I did not do that.
Actually, Pete, it was global warming that probably took down these sites. There's been there was a large attack across the whole interweb, whatever the hell that means, in the last couple of days. And one of my sites, my government deal funding site, got hit, and it went down, and it's partially back up. But
crazy.
So that's why I just switched to globaldealfunding.com/credit. But the what is the new one? CreditReboundInstitute.com/yes.
.org.
.org. All right, and I'll send this out. We did get a few people through, so before it went down.
Yeah, I don't know why.
So sometimes it just gets a little bit. You know, this is Thursday nights are a big night for webinars, so you know, everything might have just got clogged up in PayPal and whatnot. So you guys can check that out. I have to go back to filling out an RFP here that is due tomorrow at 4 p.m. Ken, you want anything else?
Guys, I apologize for if you had trouble getting through, but if you do, just go ahead and pop me a note if you want to support at totalpreneur.com, just in case you have any issues. I'll just put it in the chat as well. I love that, right?
Yeah.
I know, I love it.
Hey, you know what? We're pretty cool. And, you know, the good thing is now that I don't drink, I don't get angry that much. So, you know, before I probably would have thrown my phone across the room and smashed everything in sight. So I'm pretty easygoing. It's not that big of a deal. I'm just glad you took the opportunity to come on here tonight, Ken. Folks, go right now. Check that out. Clean up the credit score, and I'm going to send you a personal copy of Building a Business Plan, and we're going to work together on that. If you have any questions, call me at 617-275-4307. I will be here for about 10 more minutes, and then I have to get out of here because I got to get home to my darling wife. But if you want to do that,
do give Lisa my love, by the way.
I will. I just texted her to tell her to jump on and surprise you.
Oh, that would have been great. Yeah, and unfortunately, and I got to go because I got another webinar in a couple minutes. I got to get set up with, and we planned this one a little bit better than we actually pre-recorded this next one to be sure, because I knew that she was in North Jersey with iffy power, so I have to give Eli the right codes to get in. You guys, listen. If you have any issues, support@totalpreneur.com. And we'll get you taken care of. If you are having issues getting through into that link, again, my apologies, creditreboundinstitute.org/yes is another way into the exact same 197 offer. It's good for another 48 hours. We will email you with that link as well separately so that you're covered. We will have this up for you as well. But again, this offer, like anything else, is time sensitive. Replay or no, it's still time sensitive. So jump in, take action right now. You're going to love this. I promise you, you will do well. You got to use it. And this, as I said, this isn't an option. This really is a business requirement. So with that said, Sean, my friend, thank you so much. Thank you guys for being with us tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, have a great day, and everybody, like I said, if you have any more difficulties, Sean@governmentdealfunding.com, just email me and let me know what's going on. Otherwise, go to this site at creditreboundinstitute.org/yes. Ken, thank you very much. Have a wonderful night, everybody, and take care, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, all.